Hey, Frank, what's happening? July 19th, 2026. It has been an exciting week. Wow. We have seen a lot of selling off in the semiconductor sector. Where could it go from here? Now, I want to start by saying there are a lot of technical analysis folks who I admire and who I subscribe to and watch that are saying we could get a bounce from here. And they make a compelling reason why. However, my personal bias is I don't think I can buy from here. I like a discount. I want to see more downside before I buy into this. And here's why. I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to start with this chart here, which is SPX. This is a weekly chart. You can see that resistance R1 here is held up at around 75.82. And you can see we've tested once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times a lady. Okay, now conventional wisdom says that the more a level is tested, the weaker it becomes. So yeah, on one hand, you could say, well, it's been tested 5 times. It seems pretty weak. Yeah, but it hasn't broken through. So it really needs to break through R1 with some force. I would like to see it break through, maybe start trading sideways before I'm convinced we'll see more upside. For now, I think it's curling over, and you can see the MACD is curling over. I'm going to also move on to the cubes here and kind of show you the same thing. Now, this is a little bit different because you can see R1 has been broken and it's flat topping. And look, you can see the curl here is more pronounced on the MACD. And I'm going to move back to SPX for a moment. I'm going to show you something. So we're going to start with, I'm going to take this move here. I'm going to consider this price action a wedge. I'm going to put a ray on this to draw the top of the trend line here. Okay, so that's going to constitute our resistance, upward resistance. I'm going to do the same here. And it looks like we have a wedge pattern that we're somewhere in the middle of. You can see right here, P. I mean, we're right at the crossroads. So looking at this, my thoughts are if we come up and test this top line here, we could get a rejection off of it. And then the same thing, if we come down to this line here, we could get a bounce up. Now, if we break above this line and start trading sideways, we break and consolidate, that could be more upside. And then the same thing with the bottom. If we break through, trade sideways, we could see more downside. Now I'm going to move over to the cubes. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw a trend line from the top here. I'm going to connect all this. Let's see here. Let's be fair. Let's connect all that price action. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And then I'm connecting this to this. So it came down, came up, it came down, and I've connected it. Now, what's different about this is that it looks to me like this candle closed below this trend line here. So does that necessarily mean we're going to go straight down? We need to see more. We need to see more. We need to see what this is going to do. My thought is that we're going to see it kind of come up and hit this line here and then maybe bounce down off of it. But let's wait and see. We need more information. But this is the start of what could be more downside. It's the start, not the confirmation. Okay, now moving on to NQ. This is the NQ NASDAQ futures. And you'll see here, I've drawn a Fibonacci from the start of this trend to the top here. And what's immediately eye-catching to me is that you have the 618 here, along with this S3. They're basically on top of each other. So 618 is 26,022 and S3 is 26,094. So they're close enough, I would consider that confluence. Now, what I also like about this, if I go to the weekly time frame, you're going to see this line is right at all this prior resistance. So this used to be resistance, and in technical analysis, what was once resistance becomes support. And it's very apparent here. And that's why I like this level here. So 26,022 or 26,000, that would be what I would consider a good level to consider along. Okay. Now moving on to, let's go to Apple. And I'm going to show you, I have a big old trend line that I started back here in August of 2020. This is connecting to this high, that's connecting to this high. And then you can see that the price is broken above. And now, do I think that this is overbought? I think some people I've listened to tell me that Apple's about to come in. It's about to drop. And I think eventually it will, but I do think there's some gas left in the tank. And here's why. Because the RSI it's at 7165. So right here, you can see 7165. You know, if it were like 80 or a little bit higher, then I would say, you know what, maybe you're on to something. I would like to see price maybe hit maybe one of these resistance levels. You can even move on to the weekly. You got 362 up here. That could be a thing. I mean, at least R2 at 337. Although I do think it'll probably breach this a little bit to the upside. So watch RSI levels, you know, above 80. If you see RSI in like the mid 80s on the daily, that could be a sign that things are about to drop for Apple. Okay, moving on to SPCX. Wow, look at this, right? I mean, at one time, this was $225, you know, about a month ago. And now look at you. Let's see what that is in terms of percentages. Price range. We're going to go to the top here, to the bottom here. Ouch, 103 points. That's 45.88%. Woo! So for those of you who bought here, I mean, I'm my thoughts and prayers are for you. Where would I consider this a buy? Well, a couple things. RSI, if you look at the bottom left corner, it's 35, so not low enough. I would like to see RSI under 20. So that would be my first tick box. I'd also like to see it hit one of these support levels. So 102, okay. I mean, S3 would be great, but that seems a little unrealistic. Let's try something else. Let's try another tool. I'm going to try the trend-based fib extension. And I'm going to start from the top here, and I'm going to go down to where it retraced, and then it kind of came up again. And you can see, whoa, interesting. So what's interesting is that it looks like the 618, 123.21, it looks like it's already came and tested that, or it hit it. So meaning we can bounce from here. Would I buy from here? No. Why? Because I want to see it lower. I want to see this really, really stretched out before I would go in on this. I think this is probably a good trade. I think, you know, it could work, maybe having a tight stop on it. But I would want to see more. I want to see it more stretched out. So, I mean, 786, that could be one. I want to see RSI again under 20. And then at one of these levels, preferably S2 or even this one here, 93.21, for me to consider possible long. Okay, moving on to Sandisk. Let's get this bigger here, and then I want to go and stretch this out a little bit. Now, why do I have this on? So, because I'm going to show you this fib extension from here, start of the trend to the top of the trend here. We have two levels. We have the 618 around 1200, and then we have the 786 around 910. Okay, couple things to keep in mind. So it looks like we broke through this 05 level here. I'm going to kind of zoom in a little bit. Broke through it, and we're heading to this level here. Something to keep in mind, which is it looks like the price is 1354, And then you see this ATR here, average true range. That means each one of these candles, the average range of this price over the last 14 of these is 207. I typically like to see the move to a level to be more than the ATR. So, for example, if it were to like open here down to here, it's actually less, because if you subtract 1218 from 1354, what is that, around 130, 140 or somewhere abouts, right? That's lower than the ATR. For me to, it still could be a good level, but it doesn't tick the box. What I'd like to see for it to tick the box, I'd like to see it actually to rally a little bit, maybe come up to like around, above 1400, maybe around, like 1438 or something, and then drop down to this level. That to me would validate it a little bit more. Otherwise, I like this one, the 786 down here at around 910, 90, what is that, 9, let me see here, what does that say? It's in the way, 900. So between 900 and 910, again, S2 618, that could work. I would consider this more like maybe a B plus setup, and then this would be the A setup down here. All right, moving on to Micron. This one is something I've had this Fibonacci on here for a couple weeks now. So again, we do have the 05 at 783. I like this gap fill here better, this one right here, and that would be around 750. And then 618, 671. And then, of course, my favorite down here, the 786. So around the 520, 513 level, that would be very nice. Okay, last thing is Bitcoin. Super simple chart, just this Fibonacci from the low to the high. And then just to show you that the 618 level is holding up for now. So let's see if it keeps holding up. And I think that's about it. One thing I'm going to be watching is that the futures are going to be opening up in a couple hours. I'm very interested to see which direction things go overnight. Going to be keeping my eye on that. And have a good one. Take care.